That was cool, wasn't it? That was a full run of all the products in the April Coffee and Create collection. And welcome to Coffee and Create. I'm Diane Pruitt. I'm your hostess at Two Girls Treasure in Florence, South Carolina. I tipped this camera up a little bit, and I have the other camera staged over here today. I have the full run of space. I've got my cart, I've got my chest, I've got the headboard, the side rails, and the footboard. Because we're gonna wrap this up today, I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of the colors on here. We had a small interruption last week, couldn't finish. It was the annual Plant and Flower Festival. It was a wonderful time. If you had the opportunity to get here, thank you so much for coming. I'm going to tip you down just a little bit so you can see more of what we're working on here. And if you didn't get the chance to visit, I'm so sorry. I wish you could have been here. We had a great time celebrating 9 years. We've been at the PD State Farmers Market for 9 years. We're your authorized Rethunk Junk retailer. We carry the full line, all 45 colors. We have the color recipes. We have the workshops where you can learn how to use it, and we have the Coffee and Create tutorials to show you our vision for using our products. Now, if you were here with us last week and 2 weeks prior to that, you saw this chest get finished. We blended it on the Rethunk Junk main page, and then we added the transfer to it, the Iron Orchid Designs Wander transfer to it 2 weeks ago on Coffee and Create. Took a little break, came back, did the flower show. Last week on Tuesday, I did the headboard. Now it's almost finished. I've got to cover the legs just a little bit, but we're gonna use the Wander transfer on the headboard as well. But if you'll remember when I laid it out, it fit on that chest perfectly because it's 4 square and it's made to fit that way. So it looks amazing on that chest of drawers. Let me refresh in case you didn't see it. I've even done the top in a coordinating green that I mixed up. Look how beautiful, and it fit just like it needed to. But we're doing the headboard, and that's not exactly the same shape. Not at all. The headboard is long and narrow, and this is designed for a square space. So I can put it on there in a square space, and that's all I'm gonna have is a square space. I could frame it in with molds. I like to stretch it out. I want to stretch it out so that it complements what we've worked on, so that when you sleep at night, it's balanced. Because if something about going to bed is not balanced, the wrong pillow, facing the wrong direction, tilted, you can't sleep well, right? I would not be able to sleep if this were not balanced across the headboard. But what do you do when the shape of your project is not the shape of your tools? You use filler, just like any good hamburger joint would. You use filler, except better than a hamburger, we're going to use our leftover IOD transfer pieces. We're going to use some of our Stick and Style stencil. We're going to use some inks and an Iron Orchid Design stamp. And we're not going to gum it up. We're just going to give it a good fill. I'll show you. Let's get started because we've got a lot to get done here. So I'm going to wheel my card in. If you join up say good morning and let me know that you're here. I'm gonna hustle this over to this overhead camera so that you can see me well. I've got my handy spray bottle right here. You can't see this, so let me reach around and tip this camera down so you can see my work surface. There we go. Scoot over just a little bit more, and you're in like Flynn right there. All right, I got the wild berry and I got the flamingo on, and that's as far as I got. So let's finish this up. I'm gonna shake up my Coral Crush really well. I'm gonna ease that over towards you just a little bit. And I have the fans, so once I get this going, I'm gonna use my fans to get this dry. So we're gonna go ahead and go in, spilled a little, it's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and get a good cover of the Coral Crush started. I'm gonna have a harsh cut line because my flamingo is dry. Don't worry, I've got my flamingo waiting in the wings. That's funny. And I'll go ahead and just get a nice full coverage coat on here. I'm gonna bring it on down so that when we put the sunflower in, we've got this already started where it's going to meet the sunflower. We'll tackle the blend on the Coral Crush and the flamingo in just a minute. So run the sides, run that edge right there. We've got a little bit of architecture here I don't want to mess up. Now we will run in our yellow. I'm gonna mist my brush just a little bit, and I'm gonna be in a hurry this morning because I have so much to show you. Hey, Paula. Oh, that's wonderful, Paula. Thank you. I am telling you, once you try this paint, once you get hooked on the ease of use, the simplicity of the application, the coverage, not to mention the price is still good, you will be hooked just like I am, and you can do everything with this paint that everybody tells you no you can't. Because you see me doing this. Paula, thank you. That means so much to hear. I'm so thankful for you. And Lynette, good morning, lady. How are you? If you were out here for the flower show, I could not even see you. It was crazy. Polly, you were here? It was crazy. It was crazy. It was fun. Fun stuff. All right, need a little bit more. And I'm not worried about contaminating my paint because I put it in a plastic cup so that I wouldn't contaminate what was in the container. That sort of drives me crazy because when I get my color back out and I know I'm gonna use it for another project, I don't want it to be the wrong color and then try to figure out what I've mixed in it. Now there are times that it doesn't matter, but most of the time I like to keep my containers free of other colors. All right, I'm not gonna try to do a full-on blend because this is gonna need to dry, and we're gonna have to address this flamingo into this Coral Crush. So let me set this to the side, and I'm gonna pull this forward forward toward me, I should say. And I'm gonna get in your way here. But I'm gonna go ahead and mist that really well. And I'm going to, I made a mess of my brush because I stirred it with my brush. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put my flamingo on right at the cut edge of the Coral Crush. And I know, that's a mess right there. It's okay. These little brushes are not made for big surfaces, but they get the paint on. And we'll get it off my fingers. And let's grab a Wooster 2-inch shortcut. I'm gonna mist my bristles. And I'm gonna mist one more time across the top of the paint. And then we're gonna blend that Coral Crush right across the entire piece. Now this is the footboard. We've already finished the headboard. I've got a little bit of yellow to add to the legs on the footboard, but that's not going to impede on our application of the transfer. I'm gonna bring this up. And guess what? We'll have to do some wild berry to compensate for the application of the flamingo, because you want your lines to be smooth and gentle all the time from one color to the next. So if you have to go back in and you have to make some movement with a color, it's okay. You just keep working it until you get it the way you vision it. Don't let anybody tell you you're doing it wrong. You do it until you love it. There's all that right there. Perfect. Love it, love it. All right, that is flamingo. Let's go ahead, grab one more Wooster shortcut. Spritz it with the mister brush. I'm gonna go ahead and spritz my paintbrush. Oh yeah, she's stuck on there. Hang on. I have the multi-tool. There we go. And presto magico, she is open. Ta-da! We also need to do those bed rails, don't we? And if you look at where the bed rails meet the bed, those are gonna need to be done in a blend of our Sunflower and Coral Crush. Sunflower's on the bottom, Coral Crush is the next step up. I'm gonna put some wild berry on here. There we go. And I'm gonna step right back in front of you again. I'm gonna mist this one more time. All right, here we go. Just a little movement between the two. Down here on the sides as well. And I'll get my small brushes to make that a smooth transition. All the way across. Sorry, I'm in front of you. There we go. Now, Paula, what colors did you get? There we go. Keep moving that. Just move it a little bit more, move it a little bit more, bring it on back up. Nice, smooth, even strokes, and we're done. And we're done. I love doing this, y'all. Do you have fun when you paint? I hope so. I really hope you do, because this is like some of the best stuff there is. All right, I'm gonna throw the fan on that. I might need to touch it up. I might wanna do something a little bit different or a little bit better. not suggesting that I do it perfectly. I'm just suggesting that I love doing it, and that makes a difference in the finished product. All right, I'm gonna pull this one over. We will get to those bed rails. There we go. I'm gonna get my Coral Crush out of the way so I don't tump it over while we're working. I'll just set it over here on the rolly cart. Now let's come on around. I'm gonna go ahead and move the bed rails, because we're not gonna work those right this second. Do you love those colors? Do you love that blend? Well, let's see what happens. I may have to adjust this big old camera. I think we can do that. Look, if I put you right here, hey, you can see me. And we can do this. So I keep my spare pieces. And I always have some kind of something other extra. I need my scissors. And I just laid my hands on my favorite little pear. Now, this is my favorite little pear. You see how little they are? You want to learn how to blend? You know what, Paula? You can do this. It is easy. Blending is just where your two colors touch without a harsh line. You can do this. This is not going to fit this way. It's just not going to fit that way. It's not designed to. So I'm going to turn you just a little bit more. And I'm going to turn that camera downward so you can see the headboard. So we're going to need to do some filler. And I did stamp with my peonies into the wet paint. That was fun. I like doing that. The trick with that is to make sure your stamp is damp so that it doesn't stick. Now let's get this out. We've got one. I just ripped the whole thing apart, but we're going to use it all anyway. There's your one, there's your two, there's your three, and here's your four. This is a 4-sheet set. Now, it's not designed to go all the way across because it connects in certain places. So you look at the back and you see where it connects. So this piece goes here and this piece goes here, right? And then these pieces are designed to go underneath them, and they connect because that blue flower goes right there. That's weird. It's just out in the middle of nowhere. But we did this before when we did the chest, so we can do this again. This leaf connects here. So it would be awkward and it won't fit to do it the way it's designed to fit. So we're going to make some adjustments to this. As you look across, it's difficult to find a cut space that works, but we know this needs to be connected because there's the stem from the red flower down to the red flower stem right there. So what if we cut this portion out and then trim around? This belongs with this, but we can trim around. We can add some greenery. We can leave all of this together because clearly it's going to be almost impossible to cut some of this apart. Let's start right here. And it's kind of like cutting long hair. Just get in there and do it. Not that I'm cutting my hair, y'all. That's not what we're doing. But we're gonna spread this out. We're gonna stretch it as hard as we can so that we get a beautiful finished image horizontally when the transfer set we're using was designed to go vertically. I'm going to cut right on the edge of this flower, and I'm not really cutting much of it apart, but I am cutting a little bit. It's nothing that we can't compensate for with filler. And the filler we'll use will be other transfer pieces. We will use stamped images. And if we need to, we'll stencil in a little bit. It's not a big deal. It just simply makes your vertically oriented transfer sets more versatile. Because if you have something you want to get done and the transfer set doesn't fit the bill, just manipulate it until you get what you need. All right, that's supposed to go there. We're going to be a little bit over the top, but that's okay. If it rolls the top, that'll just give you a little bit there. I don't really want to roll the bottom edge though. No one will ever see that. I'm going to cut all the way up to the edge of where this transfer section is supposed to meet the next section. That'll give me a more defined layout, because it's not easy to lay these out, but it is not impossible, y'all. Just take your time, trim it down, lay it together, vision it, and then do it. You can. You can do the blending. You can do the layout. You can change the orientation. You've seen us do it on a lot of different pieces. This is how. You just take it apart in a way that it may not have been intended and do it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim all the way down into this white space. This white space is basically just, there's nothing there. And if you've never used a transfer, it's not actually part of your image. It's just blank space, see? Good morning, Jamie. How are you, doll? So if you cut out that white space, now you have a much better visual of where this will actually fit, how you can manipulate that together. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut across the bottom section. Jamie, we have the headboard in front of us. We have the footboard blended out. We have the bed rails on the table with absolutely no color on them. And we're going to take the Wander transfer from Iron Orchid Designs, and we're going to change the orientation so that it fits horizontally, even though it is designed to fit squarely as a vertical piece. And see, these pieces go together right here. And I think we could cut right along this bottom grid line right here. And that will give us a fit to the place where the mattresses will actually go, because your mattresses are going to cover most of this spot right here. And you don't want to put your transfers underneath the edge of the mattress. You'll never see them. But if we cut it on that grid line and we bring this together, now this section is going to roll just over the top edge, and it'll come down to that cut line, that edge where your mattress is going to fit. Now we've got the start of our horizontal image. So I'm going to lay these extra pieces over. Now let's see what goes where next. I'll move the inks and I'll move the box because we need to come on over, don't we? And we need to see what fits where. You like that? Thank you. Lisa, good morning. Thanks for being here. Sharon, I'm so glad to see you again. Sharon made it for the flower show. She even brought my friend. She even brought the baby. It was a great time, y'all. A great time. We're still celebrating our anniversary. We still have savings in store. Come check us out. Now, I did notice when I was working on the Coffee and Create collection for May that I might have forgotten to put the coupon code for April. So I did put one last night. If you want me to tell you what it is, give me a minute and I'll look. Spare piece. This one has a lot of white space. Let's go ahead and cut the white space out, because the white space, it just makes it a little more difficult to vision where your pieces can fit together, where you can cut them apart, and where you can stretch them out. So if you cut out, it's kind of dead space, isn't it? Bring it together good. Oh, listen, here comes the train, y'all. Wait for it. In 3, 2, 1. He's trying to outrun the UPS truck. There he goes. Listen, if you get to the railroad tracks on Highway 52, when you get off the interstate at I-95 and you're coming to Two Girls Treasure, if you see that train engineer, you wave at him and smile. He has no idea how many days he's been a part of Coffee and Create, does he? But he's always here. And always noisy. All right, that, can you believe how much difference that is now? No more dead space. Perfect opportunity to stretch this over. And we have extra pieces. So I'll lay that one right there. Now, this does go together here. So we'll need to find the way to cut this, and then we'll cut down here just like we did on the other side. Do you want me to move you closer so you can see? Watch this. Oh, let me move that. Tell you what, hang on. I'll get you all the way in here. Let's put the tools back on the table we're working on. I love rolly tables. Watch this. Ta-da! Now then, you'll be able to see. Although you will be upside down, but you will still be right here in the mix. And you can see this, right? Let me scoot you over just a little bit. There we go. A little crooked. There we go. Gently, gently. All right, this is gonna hang over the top just a little bit, and I'm gonna trim this out because I hate white space. I don't like white noise. There. That makes me happier. But that brings it all the way to that edge. Now we need to see how we can make this fit so that that rose lays just like it's supposed to. And I think we can cut right down through here. And I'm gonna cut around and in between these daisies. Some of the transfers are easier to cut apart than others, and some of them you just have to wing through it. Now, I just cut through the greenery. It's okay. That's what our extra pieces are for. Oh, he was into everything, but he couldn't help it. It's so hard not to touch things when you come in here. There's things, and he knows it. And clearly his poppy has raised him to appreciate the finer vintage pieces in life. So you can't even be mad at him for that, Sharon. He's coming up right. You gotta raise him up right. All right. That is where that should go. And then we have a stem right here. Let's get rid of some of this white space here. Trim that completely out so we can see clearly what fits, how, and where. And then we can make the cut decisions. And this is really, isn't it great to come to work or to sit in your craft room and cut and paste again? You thought all that was over when you got out of first grade. And here we are, living the life. Creating things and keeping ourselves sane and happy all at the same time. There we go. All right, now we've got even better visual. I think that's great right there. Yep, we've got the leaves in place. We've got the rose in place, right where it's supposed to be. Now, let's find our cut line down here. And I tell you, I'll bring this down and I'll bring this down to fit that. That way we'll have a real defined cut line on this grid system. The grid helps you to find a straight line when you need it. And right now I need it. It's not always easy to cut a transfer piece in a straight line, but these beautiful grid lines on these Iron Orchid Design transfer sets do their job exactly as they were intended. Now we have the image we were going for. I'm going to trim this white space off this edge so that we can lay this in where it's supposed to be. Easier. All right, let's get some application happening. I'm gonna start down here at the bottom edge because this is where I'm gonna use this as my guideline. This is just a little lip edge. From here down is where your mattress is gonna fit. So I want the imaging to the top of the headboard. So I've cut this to fit specifically across this lip edge. Now, once you cut them apart, they get a little floppy. So don't panic. Lay it down. Smooth it out just like you would if you hadn't cut it apart. Be careful with those edges. Lay them down really well. And then go to town. I'm going to rub over the entire image with my tool. go. I'm getting some snap crackles, so it is ready to transfer. I'm going to lift up the top edge just gently, and I'm going to let the air help me move the image off the acetate onto the headboard. Here we go. Comes off nice and smooth. When you lay it down, rub it with your hand and then go over it one good time with your tool. This should never hurt your hand, your fingers, your wrist, your arm. You don't have to apply heavy pressure. If it hurts you, you're applying too much pressure. You don't have to worry if you have arthritis, rheumatoid, whatever you may have. This should not hurt you. Do it gently. Do it slowly if you need to. There we go. A little bit of leaves, a little bit of flower, and that section's done. Everything transferred. I'm going to take the acetate and real quickly, I'm just going to rub over the top of it. That burnishes it in, makes it more unified with the painted surface. Oh, come see me. I'm going to scooch this over right here. I want you to be able to see. You got the bright blue and the resin metallic. The coupon code. Let me find my phone. Where'd I leave it? There it is. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, let's see. The coupon code for the Coffee and Create collection for April, dun, 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 is spring. And let's see, we are going to extend that date through April 30th at 11:59 p.m. So if you want to save 10% on any of the Coffee and Create collection products, you just use the code SPRING when you purchase online. That bright blue, Paula, is probably Bluebird or Flamingo. No, Peacock Feather. I'm using Flamingo. Flamingo is pink. Peacock Feather is blue. We're going to lay that in right there. Right there. Straight and even. I'm going to rub over it with my hand. I'm going to back you back up so you can see this part. There we go. We've got a little curve right there at the top of the headboard. We'll have just a little piece that hangs over. That'll be neat. Rub it over with your hand. Take your tool. Now, don't scratch down and scratch what you've already put on. So when you get close to these edges, be careful. Don't scratch over the side because we've trimmed it down. You'll scratch your paint. It's still fresh, right? Dry time, cure time, not the same thing. Dry to the touch does not mean it has completely hardened. And you know what? That's not just Rethunk Junk paint. That's any paint, any brand paint has to cure. Has to. If you don't let it cure, you will not get the best results possible. All right, this one really wants to come off of here, so we're gonna start right here at the top. We're gonna run that right over. It's 9:43, we're doing good. I don't think Charlotte's ready to come in yet this morning. I don't think it's time. I think I'm on my own for a little while this morning. So I don't have any adult supervision. If you want to come by Two Girls Treasure anytime after 10, before Charlotte gets here, and we can just goof off and play and not be responsible and clean the store. I think that's a great idea. Come on over. There we go. Now, we're almost done with this. Boy, this one doesn't want to pop loose. There we go. Thank the Lord that I have at least one fingernail left after all the hustling and shuffling we did last week. There we go. All right, a little bit more here. I love that Rice Krispie sound it makes when it lets go. I feel so accomplished. There we go. All right, we're down to the last little bit of this rose. Perfect. Ooh, that's pretty. All right, rub over it, burnish it, put it in so it stays on. Always, always remember when you, I missed a piece right there. When you get ready to seal, do not put a heavy coat of sealant over your transfer. It's very thin, and if you put a heavy coat of sealant on it, it will penetrate the material, it will loosen the sticky, and it will come off. Gentle, thin coats. Gentle, thin coats. Put as many coats on as you want, but make sure they are very thin coats. I love that. Now we have all of this side done, and it's looking good. It's looking really good. Let me ease back around here, and let's take a look at the whole thing, because now once we lay this out, we're gonna have this much space completely blank. And that's not what we're going for. We want a cohesive image. We want it to be absolutely gorgeous, because that's what we go for, right? So let's lay this down. Let's get this on here. And then we'll see how much blank space we're gonna have to fill in. And see, now I wish I had like 2 more hours to do this with you. I don't think it'll take me that long, but it might. Depends on how it all plays itself out. There we go. Now I want to be really careful because I'm going to get in a hurry here. And when I get in a hurry, I usually end up cracking a piece of it. And I can fill it in. I take my little paint brushes and I paint over it. But boy, I hate doing that. But I guess if it's all about filler, that's what I'm doing, right? There we go. I need my Tay here, but you know what? That child stayed up all night long playing a puzzle. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right. Last little bits. Make sure I get them transferred without breaking them. I think I did it. I did it. Ta-da! Didn't break any of the flowers. Run the edge down smooth. Burnish it in. Here we go. Now, this piece goes right here. You can tell that the stem comes on down. I don't know if you can see where I'm working even. My mercy, I'm so sorry. Now you can see. The sun's starting to come through that cupola. And I can't see the screen on the iPad. All right. Let's lay this down gently. I'm going to start right there at that leaf so that I'm in the right place. That one goes to that. That one goes to that. Everything's lined up pretty. Now I'm just going to lay it down and rub my hand over it. We're going to go back over the top edge again. This greenery is going to hang over what I call this leg edge. And I sure could use my razor blade right now. So I'm going to grab it. When I have an edge that has a little bit of depth to it, like this does, I would rather not try to transfer over that edge and cut the material, because then I'll have cracks in it and it'll look bad and I'll have to fill it in. So I just take my razor. Your X-Acto will do the same thing, and if Lynette will admit it, she will feel much better about it. She hates it when I use a straight razor. But so far, my record for getting this done well is pretty good, Lynette. You have to admit. I'm going to go ahead and do this edge first, because I want to make sure I lay this down just right without cracking or splitting the material, because this is some really delicate, thin material. And if you've only ever put it on and never played with a piece of it, you've missed out. So if you have an extra piece, pull a little piece of your extra piece off and just feel it and play with it and feel how thin it is, because it is absolutely thinner than paper, thinner than tissue. It is fine, very fine material, and you got to be careful with it or it will tear. And that's why I say when you get ready to seal your transfers, you have to be especially careful, because the material is so thin. If you apply too much sealant to it, then you will penetrate the material, you will remove the adhesive, and your transfer will not stick, and it will actually blister and lift. I have some examples of that in the store. I will always show you what I have done wrong so that you don't spend your money on your materials, your tools, and not know. I'll do it wrong so you don't have to. Yikes! Don't do that. The closer I get to the edge, the more careful I need to be. Alright. There we go. Got some Rice Krispies going there. I'm going to pull the table out and swap sides. Let me show you why. Since I have this coming up over the edge right here, I need to be really careful. I don't want to scratch the paint because it's blended paint. I don't want to scratch the paint anyway, but it's blended, so that'll be really hard to fix if I scratch it. And I want to make sure I get this all transferred, because these are the leaves, this is the greenery. There we go. A lot of times on the curved surfaces, it just lets go of itself, which is kind of neat. I want to make sure that halo is burnished in so you don't see it. There we go. Got a little bit right here. When you cut it apart like this, just be careful with the edges and make sure you don't use your tool and scratch over. Something that's already been transferred on. Don't you love that snap crackle sound? Good morning, Joe. How are y'all? Boy, I tell you what, if y'all never had a reason to come south with this winter, you do now. Y'all might remember about, what was it, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago now? Time is flying. Me and Joe and Linda hung out in Charleston, South Carolina for a day. It was really a lot of fun. We did not ride the carriage. We did not. That's a romantic thing for two. That was a Joe and Linda trip. I just wanted to come out and eat food and walk around with y'all and shop. I'm so, so glad I got to. There we go. I hope my girl is doing great. And I hope I get to see y'all again soon. I hope next time y'all visit, you stop into Two Girls Treasure and we'll do an impromptu live. And we'll just play with all the things. Whoosh, just like that. Just like that. Now, beautiful, beautiful sides. But what about this center? Because when I flip the table back around for you to look at it, it does look good, but it has this massive empty space here. And that just needs to be filled in with something. So let's look at what we have here. That's not floral. So let's get the floral. And let's get these metallics out. Let's do just a little bit of fancy work. This stick and style is so cool, y'all. Took my trash up underneath, just like sweeping it under the rug. So you just pull some off. It's sticky. It's on a roll. It's like tape, but it's a stencil. Now I do have, I think, one more of these hanging on the rack. I bought some because somebody said they wanted it, and I haven't seen them since. So it's okay. I use it. I love it. And it's cool to work with. So I'm gonna lay this down right here. I'm gonna lay it down right there. I'm gonna grab my colors. I've got all of my colors right here at my fingertips. And I have my stenciling brush. So we're into the Coral Crush right here, okay? I think what I'll do is grab a little bit of Coral Crush because the Coral Crush has been blended right here. So if I take my Coral Crush and I tamp off just a little bit of it, and I randomly stencil a little bit of floral in here, it won't be a harsh contrast. And I don't want a harsh contrast, I want just a little bit. Just a little bit of contrast. And I don't want to come down below this edge. And I don't need it to go all the way across, just a little bit. So there's some floral right there. Okay? There's a little bit of the, I want just a little bit more, just a little bit more right here. Right to the edge of where the transfer stops, right here on this green leaf. Now, this is gonna be hard to see on the camera for two reasons. One, it is almost ghosted on, and two, the light from the cupola is fixing to get us. But I'm just gonna roll down through this edge, a little bit of light stenciling in the Coral Crush. Not the same spots, not the same florals as I go across, just a little bit of ghosting. And this fills in that little bit of space that we didn't have anything to put in. All right, a little bit more and we will be over to the edge of this side. I'm gonna put a little bit more Coral Crush on, a little bit of ghosting. And that's pretty neat. The stick and style didn't even pull my transfer up, and my transfer is not even sealed. Burnished, but not sealed. I'll take a really good close-up image of this after I'm done so you can see that. That It looks so good, y'all. It looks so good. All right, I'm gonna lay this right here. So we have some stenciling, a little bit of ghosting. That compensates for a little bit, not a lot. I'm gonna use the metallics on it too. And we have some extra pieces here. So these will actually fill in just nice. I think I can take these extra pieces, lay them out across this top, just across this edge right here, and I believe I can do some fill-in. We'll add the bluebells right over here with the bluebells. It is 10:03. The cupola is blinding us, and that means it's time to open these doors at Two Girls Treasure and get to a Tuesday work day. See? You think that's just my golden personality. It's actually the sun blinding us. I'm gonna open the doors. If you get a chance, come on by and see me. I would love to see you today. We're gonna continue to celebrate our 9th anniversary through the end of the month. The coupon code for the collection, and if you just click that interactive mode, if you're watching on the website, you can drop down the collection. You can choose all the products that you want to save money on, make that purchase, use that coupon code, and save. I'm your hostess, Diane Pruitt, and we're live here at Two Girls Treasure in Florence, South Carolina. I cannot thank you enough for being here. I'll show pictures of this later because I have no adult supervision, so I'm going to play for a while. Have a lovely day. Thank you so much for watching Coffee and Create.